Greetings brethren, CloakingDonkey here, and E3 has come and gone once again, as it does every year. Just like the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, and that fateful apocalyptic level disease that's going to wipe out the entire world. I predict, by the way, that this year it will be a mutated strain of E. coli and we will all shit ourselves to death. At least until everything goes back to normal like it always does. Just like it does after E3. And you know what the best part is about E3 for someone like me who loves all sorts of MMOs and strategy games? Absolutely fucking nothing. Because those games are simply not cool enough for E3. At E3, all you're going to find is shootery adventure action games. EA, shootery adventure action games. Ubisoft, shootery adventure action games. But since no one has time these days to watch all these cringy ass press conferences because they're way too long and presented by people who should absolutely not be presenting anything, I thought I'd quickly sum up for you exactly what went on. First we had EA, and there we got to see sports, cars, a new Battlefield game. No, wait. The old Battlefield game is actually really popular this time, so let's make it an expansion. And then Battlefront 2, and we promise this time it's not a bare bones shit game. Trust us, we are EA after all. When have we ever let you down? And then along came Microsoft and announced a new version of their current Xbox console, which they named Xbox One X. Short Xbox. You dad joke toting muppets. They upgraded it in an effort to make sure that your Xbox console is always precisely 4 years behind current tech. And beyond that, as is tradition with Microsoft, we saw a whole lot of exclusives. Luckily for us here at the glorious PC Master Race, most of these exclusives are now also for Windows 10. I'm still not the biggest fan of Windows 10, but I guess for a Sea of Thieves I'll just have to get it. But I have to say most of these exclusives are really just kind of manned. I still don't want to buy your console. Then came Bethesda, or should we say, why the fuck do you guys still have your own conference? I mean, what exactly did we learn from this press conference, except that Skyrim is the ultimate system whore? Now also available on the Nintendo Switch, so you can look absolutely ridiculous in public. I mean, if I saw you in public waving your little controlly sticks at a tiny screen, making archery motions, I would consider someone throwing a slushie in your face a public service. Because it would immediately end the embarrassment of everyone involved, including the people who have to watch you do this. Then we had the PC Gaming Conference, which is always the most fun one to watch, first of all because it's the most hilariously foobar one. Full of technical issues and awful editing from beginning to end, it never disappoints. But at least this one is moderated by Sean Day9 Plot, who knows a thing or two about casting, so at least you know that this one isn't moderated by a spastic gibbon, which you cannot say for any of the other ones. Overall, however, the PC Gaming Conference can really be summed up in, "Hey guys, do you remember VR? Because Pepperidge Farm remembers." And beyond that, of course, the most games that are of interest to me are shown at the PC Gaming one, because, well, it's PC Gaming and not for the console peasantry. But with very few new things announced there, it is technically the worst conference, as is tradition. And then lastly we had Ubisoft, and what would Ubisoft be without one of their shitty little gimmick games? That they will undoubtedly make billions with, because kids are really fucking dumb. And so let's all welcome No Man's Skylanders. The next stupid ass collecty toy game where you throw your toys into the video game and it's garbage. But as I said, it will make a fortune. And there is absolutely nothing that Ubisoft likes more than making a fucking fortune. They, like all the others, had a whole bunch of shit games that I don't care about, but they also had an incredibly historically offensive Assassin's Creed game, where I'm pretty damn sure at one point we are in ancient Egypt and the guy uses a Mesopotamian weapon to kill an Imperial Roman. Holy shit, I couldn't be more triggered. But you know what, I don't want to just shit on E3, because there's actually some really cool stuff that we learned there, even though it is very few and far between. So EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2 game actually looks kind of interesting. However, this is one that you definitely have to play in a beta first before you decide to buy this game. Because the hype for the first game was so absurdly deceptive, and the actual game they released was utter trash, that going blind into the second one just on their promise that they made improvements is a really, really bad idea. So absolutely make sure that if this interests you and you're happy that they added a class system and unlocks that aren't based on stupid power-ups you find in the map, then that's great and I wish you all the luck, but I would definitely advise you to wait for an open beta, which is certainly going to happen with a game of this magnitude. They want to have all the hype behind this game, and open betas always do it for the hype machine. So wait for that and test it out there, and then you'll know. And then finally we learned a whole bunch of release dates. South Park Fractured Butthole will release on the 17th of October. Total Warhammer 2 will release far sooner than I thought, on the 28th of September. That is really close, that's only 3 months away. That's actually quite awesome and I'm really looking forward to that. And it's more or less confirmed now that Skaven are going to be the 4th race, which is just awesome. I'm so looking forward to playing that game. You can expect quite a few streams on that when it's out. Sea of Thieves sadly had its release date pushed to early 2018, but to be honest I was kind of expecting that, because Sea of Thieves just isn't really the kind of game you want to release late in the year, when all the Call of Duties come out and such, because, you know, it is a little bit of a bigger profile game, so you really want to have a slightly more open release window than the crazy pre-Christmas season. And I'm still very much looking forward to Sea of Thieves. What we got to see from the E3 footage was absolutely fantastic. Holy moly, did that ever make me want to play that game, especially the part where they were in the incredibly stormy waters, having 2 ships battle it out in the middle of a typhoon. That was just absolutely smashing. And I would say that Sea of Thieves would be my pick for the show if it wasn't like a game that we've seen 2 years ago. It was already Game of the Show 2015, so it can't really be Game of the Show 2017, right? We also saw a bit more of Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlords, and wow, that battle footage they showed was absolutely amazing. That game looks really damn good. Sadly, as far as I know, there's still no release date for it yet. That makes me really, really sad, because that's actually what I was looking forward to E3 the most. I wanted to see a release date for Bannerlords, because I'm looking forward to that game a lot. The first one I played for such a long time in the campaign, and the second one I'm going to be streaming, so that's going to be just awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. And then lastly, probably the only completely unforeseen release for a lot of people was Wolfenstein 2. Now personally, I expected a sequel to Wolfenstein: The New Order at some point, because it was pretty much inevitable. That game was fantastic, and it was such a success. Everyone who played it that I know of absolutely loved this game. It is such a great fallback to the olden days of single-player shooters, but brought into a new light, and using some of that stuff that, you know, Call of Duty and Battlefield have done with all the incredible cutscenes that they do. But instead of just locking everything and forcing you to watch these cutscenes, the cutscenes in Wolfenstein and The New Order felt way, way better. And you got to play pretty much all of the cool bits. There were a few smaller bits that you didn't get to play, but most of the awesome, just huge battles and stuff you just got to do yourself. And the game is absolutely great. If you like shooters even just a little bit, you should play Wolfenstein: The New Order. It is a great game. And I'm really looking forward to Wolfenstein 2 because I cannot wait to shoot more Nazis in the head. Also, the trailer they had for Wolfenstein 2 was really pretty damn funny with Liesel the attack dog. But overall, I have to say E3, as always, is super disappointing from my point of view. I just don't give a fuck about consoles, and as such, I also don't really care about all of these shootery action-adventure games that they constantly bring out. And while it was a bit of a joke, it isn't even, you know, all of the publishers release these sorts of games, they all have their versions of it. Be it Anthem from EA BioWare, a looter shooter where you shoot and have adventures in an action game. Or be it Far Cry, well, the 5th installment of Far Cry, etc, etc. It's just everywhere, and I really could not care less about it, because all of those games, it has to be said, are pretty much entirely about visuals and audio. And I just don't care about that as much. I care about good gameplay. And a lot of the times these games lack in gameplay in favor of making them look amazing. A great example of this would be The Division. That game was visually absolutely stunning, and it ran beautifully for how good it looked. However, gameplay-wise, it was trash. It wasn't even on Diablo 2 level of fun. It was just get items that are incredibly generic and shoot incredibly generic guns at incredibly generic enemies. It's just everything around you looks really pretty while you do it. And I'm really sad to say that that trend is continuing. Most games that, you know, are big and AAA are like that. They just look really pretty, they have pretty sound effects and flashy explosions, but they have no substance to them whatsoever. And sadly, the reverse is true as well. All of the games that have awesome gameplay and have great mechanics all look like trash. PlayerUnknown's Battleground comes to mind, a game that I definitely think has pretty awesome gameplay mechanics, but one, it's unfinished and very, very much lacking in polish, and second, it just doesn't look that good because it's based on a very old engine. It's really just either gameplay or graphics at this point, and I think that's kind of sad. It's sad that we've gotten here, but that's just where we are, and we're gonna have to deal with that for a long time to come, I'm pretty sure. The one thing about E3 that I thought was absolutely hilarious, and I'm gonna make a separate video just about this, is that VR has practically become a side note. EA did not talk about VR at all. Ubisoft did not talk about VR at all. Bethesda spent a tiny amount of time talking about VR, basically giving VR fans a port of Fallout 4, and I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. It's probably gonna have to do with you walking around your room, so if you don't have room for that, have fun trying to play that. And then Doom VFR, which is basically a cut-down version of Doom, which kind of turns Doom into a rail shooter with the, you know, standard shitty teleporting around mechanic you might have seen from pretty much every fucking shooter VR game out there. And then there was a tiny bit of talk about VR with Microsoft, and a tiny little bit of talk of VR with the PC Gaming Conference, and of course a little bit of VR talk for the PlayStation, because, well, they have their own little PlayStation VR thing that they're trying to push. But even they didn't really push it as hard as they did the last 2 years. And I'm sorry that I have to say this, again, I will have a separate video outlining all my arguments, but I really think that whole VR is the future of gaming has sailed. That's not going to happen, and the big publishers are seeing that. And that's why you're not going to see any VR stuff from them. You're going to have to rely on shitty indie VR games that look like ass and are jiggly and bugged and don't work properly. And because there's no decent games on it, the user base will remain small, falling into the exact vicious circle that I predicted 2 years ago and was laughed out of the room for by everyone. So I would just like to say, I fucking told you so. VR, just another gimmick. Enjoy your incredibly overpriced Kinect, my friends. So what did you think of E3 this year? Was there anything particularly cool that you liked? Was there any game that I didn't talk about that you really think is awesome? Do tell me about it in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and consider subscribing to my channel, and definitely go over to twitch.tv/CloakingDonkey, where I stream pretty damn regularly. And as you heard in just this here video, there will be a plentitude of games coming out that I will certainly be streaming on my channel. But until then, I've been the CloakingDonkey, and I'll see you in another video!